I found this clip of Bill Zito, and it's Jesse, I send it through to the messaging here. Bill Zito approaching trades in the offseason. And I think this is relevant to if you've got a team, and the Leafs, there's been a lot of chatter, obviously, about Mitch Marner in Toronto and how long that's going to last and what return they're hoping for in a trade. And I think when you're putting your mock trades together, you shouldn't think value for value necessarily, because cap space worth a lot. I mean, let me put this in perspective for you. Patrick Marleau's salary to the Carolina Hurricanes half a decade ago was worth a first round pick, which is now first liner Seth Jarvis. So Patrick Marleau's contract, $5.5, $6 million was worth a first round pick half a decade ago. Imagine what it's worth now. So my point is, Bill Zito makes a really good point about trading in the NHL and how sometimes it's going to look like you got fleeced, but you might want to do it anyway. And I'm not suggesting we give great talents away, but I just thought this was really interesting from the guy with laser eyeballs.
With the salary cap right now, and then the supply and the demand of the players, it's almost a secondary thing. It's just trying to fit the square into the square hole. And you can have a more valuable triangle, but you need a square. and it's, I tell a story about trades where it's not always about the trade, but it's about the result. So you may have a situation where you're in the city and you have a ski chalet in the mountains, and your dream is to have your 7 best friends come for a ski weekend, and they show up, and it's awesome. It's Thursday night, you're going up to ski Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and you have 4 Maseratis, two guys in each car, and you're going, and a blizzard comes. That's it. Your dream can't go. Can't drive in the snow. I don't know that for sure, right? They're race car Maseratis that you can't drive in the snow. And the neighbor says, I got 4 SUVs. Want to trade? Absolutely. And you lost the trade. You got killed on the trade, right? But you had your weekend. And so that's almost where we are now with regard to personnel acquisitions trades. It's like you're trying to put the puzzle together.
So I just think that's a really interesting, open general manager conversation about trading in the NHL.
I'm sorry. Can you imagine him ordering coffee? I think of like a regular coffee. Yeah. I don't know why I turned him into
sugar.
Half Macho Man Randy Savage, but imagine just meeting that. He looks at you like dead silent, but visually he's grunting.
Look at him.
You know what I mean?
Look, we just had him up.
Oh, did we?
There it is.
Oh my fucking God. He looked at the Stanley Cup, and that's why they won it.
I watched this and didn't send it to our group chat because I wanted to get your reactions on the show. What do you guys think of that?
I don't know the value of a Maserati. Listen.
They're great until you drive them off the lot, apparently.
Isn't that what I've been saying for months? Isn't that what I've been saying for months with Bob Ogden and the Leafs? Isn't that what I've been saying for months? No, but how are you gonna? You're not gonna.
It's the result rather than the deal itself, which is interesting.
Yeah. No, okay.
I thought that was an interesting distinction, and I don't know that it's necessarily right. I just wanted to know what your reactions were.
Bob Ogden is a Maserati.
Mm-hmm.
He's a Maserati. Vroom, vroom. Fast as fuck. Super fun. Everyone loves looking at it. Then the winter comes and you can't drive it. Except the winter is the spring and the playoffs.
Jesse?
I'll always have a bit of reverence for Bill Zito because you go back to the Huberdeau for Tkachuk deal. Like growing up, not growing up really, but like through the early mid 2010s, all you think about the Florida Panthers is Barkov and Huberdeau. They have 2 guys, and before that's Luongo and all that stuff. But those 2 guys were the franchise, and that was it. And then they're good. They win the President's Trophy, and then they lose, and they're not good enough in the playoffs. And this guy went out there and was like, you know what? Huberdeau's due for an extension. We're not good enough. I'm going to make this giant earth-shattering deal for a guy who is literally one of the 2 faces of the franchise.
Top scoring single season for a left winger ever.
Luc
Robitaille, bum. Johnny Huberdeau. And he traded him and his second best defenseman?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, and
people, because of revisionism, That deal at the time did not look great.
No, not at all. Like you look at what Calgary was doing at the time, and there's so much praise being put on Brad Treliving because of the situation he was able to get out of. It was a tough situation where he had a player who didn't want to be there, and we're all just like, wow, look what you did there, Brad. But we all should have been looking at the other side. And in the moment, Bill Zito, his assessment of trades right here in the future, like that's what we should have been thinking about then when he made that deal. It's like, okay, in the end, let's see the result of this. And you got to look back on this as one of the most impressive trades in NHL history because of what happened like 4 weeks ago when the Florida Panthers raised the Stanley Cup with Matthew Tkachuk. He was willing to make that move with a franchise player, just take a chance because he assessed the team that they had there and he knew it wasn't good enough and it needed a giant shakeup. And he was willing to do that deal. So I don't know, just looking at what Bill Zito does in the NHL, I think everybody can learn from that.
He gave up the top scoring left winger ever single season.
Yeah.
And a right shot defenseman in your top four.
Who can play both sides.
Mackenzie Weegar is a freaking stud.
Mm-hmm.
He had 52 points last year. Mackenzie Weegar had 20 goals last year.
He'll beat the brakes off you. He'll hit you.
He's amazing.
You can play the wheels off him.
And look at that.
Yeah, and the results were for Bill Zito to raise Stanley Cup.
No. You know what would have been better?
No,
Stop.
Bob Ogden.
I didn't say Bob Ogden.
What is it? What is it? Waiting for it.
Sorry, Jesse put some words in my mouth. Let me just get those out of here.
Yeah, no, take them out. Say your own words.
No. It's what if?
Yeah.
Like I have a way to make Bill Zito's scenario even better. What if they just stayed stranded at the chalet and listened to songs on the radio in their Maserati?
And had chill Maseratis. Yeah.
Yeah, and just had chill Maseratis and went nowhere. And they just stayed there. Did you notice he said 4?
Stop.
What?
Stop.
What? No, what if you just went nowhere and did nothing?
Couple of
just of note too, there was also a first round pick that went in the deal to Calgary.
Yeah.
Like,
oh really?
Yeah.
I straight up did not
I forgot
know
that too. I just Googled the trade and there was a first round pick in it.
So what is the trade?
The trade was Tkachuk was traded to the Florida Panthers on Friday with Huberdeau, part of a haul, going to the Calgary Flames for the power forward. Florida also sent defenseman Mackenzie Weegar, prospect Cole Schwint.
Yeah, Schwint.
And a lottery-protected first-round selection in the 2025 NHL draft.
Oh, no.
So the selection hasn't even happened yet.
Wait a sec. Is that 2025 pick the one they sent to Montreal in the Monahan trade?
Oh, it might be.
Oh.
Yeah, I haven't gone that far, but I am not ssure.
I'm not. Oh.
That's rough.
This was the first time. This
What?
was the first time. I almost said go check Cap Friendly.
No, you can't. Puckpedia, my friend.
Check Puckpedia.
The article underneath the trade article, that's like the AP one of just, hey, here's the trade, is an article by Greg Wyshynski from 2 years ago. Why the Flames ace the Tkachuk-Huberdeau swap.
Everybody
but
thought
that's how we were all thinking at the time.
Everybody
There's just
thought
the
they had
evidence.
They had a guy who didn't want to be there and no leverage.
And you got Jonathan Huberdeau. You signed
And
Nazem
Weegar.
Kadri. It's like, wow, summer of Brad.
I think they had the wrong head coach. I will always maintain
Summer
that.
of Brad.
Because he went from losing, it was
Gaudreau
Gaudreau walked,
Yeah.
and that was a disaster. And then I want to say it was like, oh yeah, and they have to trade Tkachuk.
Mm-hmm.
And they turned that into, oh, we got Kadri and Weegar and Huberdeau. A lot of people thought they were going to be good.
Summer of Brad.
I
Summer of Brad.
also want to say that you know, I know a lot of people blame Brad Treliving, and they should, for what happened. Like, a lot of Calgarians are like, Brad, and I get it. We're a little like that with Dubas, except for the fact that we're a little bit more open about the fact that our president is still here. Flames fans, I never see them. The one guy that is always omnipresent with the Flames, but never mentioned in the news, who has made all of these decisions, hiring the head coach, hiring the general manager, hiring
Spitefully never dealing with the Leafs.
Don Maloney. I don't know.
What is his title?
He is the president of the Flames, and he's the guy that hired all these people. So whether or not Brad had carte blanche or whatever, I know that Brad did not hire Sutter, and that Don Maloney did. I know that for a fact. Brad did not want Sutter. Sutter did not want Brad. They were forced into an unhappy marriage by Don Maloney. That, to me, is the start of the downfall. And I'm really surprised that guy just skates every time there's any sort of criticism. And by the way, the Flames didn't really know for 6 months of the last year, like from 23 in the summer till maybe January of this year, didn't really know what the hell they were doing. We're going to be competitive. Okay, we're going to sell, but we're going to be competitive. You should resign because we're going to be competitive, except we're going to sell this guy.
And they're bullshitting their fan base too.
Well, yeah, now it's
We're not
official.
rebuilding.
We're not rebuilding.
We're just getting rid of all of our players.
We just have
for futures.
We just have our own fans telling us and our own media telling us it's one of the worst forward groups in the league right now. And that's
wild.
That doesn't mean that it won't be great. Sharon Govich was a great trade.
Great trade.
Well done.
You need more than one of those though, eh?
Yeah. And
like, hey, that was a great trade. Yeah, you need like lots of those.
And they're going to have guys come up, like Coronado's a guy, and like they've got guys, but like, they need to prove themselves now.
All right. We also can't hold Brad Treliving fault if people don't want to play in a market. If people don't want to, they're like, hey, I don't really like the arena or just the everything that's going on here with the owner, and like I just don't want to play here. I want to live somewhere else. And Johnny Gaudreau wanted to live somewhere else, and you can't hold the general manager fault for that.
Right. And the reason Johnny wanted to play somewhere else is because they played chicken with him all season. Then they lose him to the Blue Jackets. Then Tkachuk's like, you know what? I don't want to be here either now.
I think it's worth noting that everyone in the hockey world was like, the Blue Jackets?
Well, the Flyers should have had him. And
yeah,
the Flyers messed up their own cap and couldn't sign him.
Chuck Fletcher can't count. Like,
they literally couldn't count the right dollars, else they would have had him.